Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm here with Kim Strickland. We're here to have a nice philosophical conversation about everything astrological. Okay, Kim, so you sent me a list of topics, which I'm going to start with. What do you want to talk about with the formation of beliefs? What is that?
Uh, Hello, everybody. I was raised in a certain culture and they believed in a certain way. And to them, it was their reality. Okay. When I uh, started in my astrology studies, um, but way before, I left that culture and found a new way to look at life. So, the most, I hope this sounds right, the most dangerous enemy we have is our beliefs. And it's always good to fact check them. And is this what reality is, or this is a mirage?
Mm,
Does that make sense?
Sure. So, can a belief be real, or isn't a belief just kind of what your experience has shown you that makes certain conclusions? I mean, is a belief even real or not? Would
I,
be my question.
th- um, we don't know. I'm going to say we don't know because it depends on your experience. But I was just raised in a culture and a family that's just a bill of goods. Then I found out this ain't right. And then I ran into a friend of mine, and he says, "Well, don't go jumping off and try to rescue yourself from the fear of not having a belief. Don't go jump into something else."
Mm.
And so, does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you believe in astrology?
Uh, I look at it as a computer algorithm or a game, a gaming board, and for some reason, astrology to those that believe in it, we can always prove it to ourselves. But my goal is to be able to talk to a scientist and say it's not a pseudoscientist because it's based upon beliefs. And why do my beliefs manifest in the physical reality?
Mm-hmm.
And you learn there's so many grimoires out there, and that I'm book rich, money poor.
Yeah.
But anyway, does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, I think sometimes asking the question, do you believe in astrology, is the wrong question. That would be saying, like, do you believe in women's studies or do you believe in math? We don't ever ask people those questions. It's like the study exists, whether or not we believe in it or not. It's more, do you find astrology useful or is astrology meaningful in your life? Because, like, it's not that I don't believe in women's studies, but it's like I don't really like to think like a women's studies professor where I'm like, that's oppression and this is oppression. Like I don't necessarily find that helpful for my life to incorporate that framework into my everyday living, but I believe it exists. You know what I mean?
Great.
So I don't know. What do you enjoy about astrology?
Well, I have a Virgo midhead. And then
Okay.
I have uh, a Gemini descendant, you know. And so I always like to be around people that have information.
Okay.
So astrology, pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I like about it too. Or one thing is that it's a people art, it's a conversational art. Like you can look in a chart, but when you really have a conversation about it, then astrology comes alive. And so
Right.
I see what you're saying that you like the details and the technical of it. That would be your midheaven and Virgo, and then the conversational nature of it with Gemini in your seventh would be your able to have these kind of detail-oriented conversations with others, and that's yeah, I like that. I like that. That's what I'm learning in my old age too, is like astrology is best practice with friends, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah, it's real fun and it's an expensive hobby.
Ah, is it? Well, you could watch a bunch of free YouTube videos.
Yeah, well, then I'm depending on somebody else to give me my reality. That goes back to belief. That's their filter, just like you have your filter and I have my filter.
Hmm.
And eventually you got to put the books down and you just, you know, you need you need to get in touch with Jesus, you know.
Oh, yeah, well, that's free. You can talk to Jesus for free.
Yeah, well, I was just sarcastic.
Well, I love Jesus, so it's like whenever you
Oh,
bring up Jesus,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, let's hear
Yeah,
more. Let's be
I tell him
influential.
all the time, don't come back. You won't like it.
Oh my God. Speaking of expensive hobbies, look at my moon on my nail. Isn't that
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
wasn't expensive. It was like $1 for all of these moons and stars.
Oh really, really,
That's
really.
fast fashion for you.
I'm talking about old grimoires, you
Oh,
know.
interesting. Yeah, well, some people like I think it's Philip Graves is his name, but he collects a bunch of esoteric astrology books, and some people really collect the really rare books, and that is an expensive
Right.
hobby, I bet.
Right. But the thing about it is you can read all them grimoires, and if you don't do it now, in the now, then it's just head knowledge. You know, you got to really experiment with it and see if it manifests. Because otherwise, then you're wasting your time.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I think a lot of people think astrology, you can learn your chart in one reading. Like, okay, so you meet with an astrologer for an hour and we tell you about your chart, but really it's learning the chart through the transits in real time that is
Right.
really the teacher of your chart, you know?
Right. There's some things in my chart, such as Mercury in conjunct my midheaven, and it's taken a while because I had to go through events to really understand that. I mean, you could look at everybody up, but you know what they think about it, and some of it can help, but not till you actually are ready for that knowledge will it really come to you.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah, huh. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
I've been watching my chart.
in other words, why? Why is it there? And that'll get you a whole lot further.
Well, that's a big question they ask in teleology is why is a certain aspect of your personality in the chart? They would say that everything is there for a reason, whether it be building your life purpose or whatever, so that in conjunct between your Mercury and
Right,
your moon,
right,
it's there for a reason and it has a certain function in the creation of your life formation. So,
right. The thing about astrology that is totally bogus is these career astrologers. Okay. And you can read all of them you want, but I can apply my chart to being a day trader. See, I could also apply it to something else. But I think what really determines your career is uh, your mother and father, how they raised you, the things that are exposed. And then all of a sudden you get this really, really, really passionate feeling and you just go with it. Like here's all these people, they knew all their lives they were going to be baseball professionals, you know. What for some reason that passed me by. And there was a reason for that. And like go to your Chiron, which I don't um, the way I use it is go to your Chiron and then see how the Chiron it's a weak spot. There was something else I was going to say and I just lost my train.
well,
Uh,
let me say something then. while you resurrect your train. Basically, in my friend Kenneth Miller taught me that Ptolemy in the Tetrabiblos, he talks about four influences on a growing creature, which we talk about a lot in teleology. So there's genetics, culture, climate, and your chart. So we could say that the culture and climate you're growing up in with your parents does affect what's growing here. Like if you grow up with a parents who are professional baseball players, they might train you to be a baseball player from the time you're born. But if your chart is, a good baseball player, then you'll be a superstar baseball player because this
Right.
plant is a baseball player growing among baseball players, and then all of a sudden we got like a famous baseball player.
Right.
But if your
Right.
chart is like super watery and it's chubby and it's like a psychic and you're growing up among baseball players, you're not going to become the best baseball player ever because your chart is not made for that job. So
That's right. That's right. Because I think I never, you go to Billy Graham and you say the sinner's prayer, and God has a purpose for your life. And well, he never talked to me about it.
yeah, that's
And so you just have to find it on your own. And then you realize this is madness, you know. And so you go back to your Chiron, it could be have affected that. But what I'm saying about the career thing is that Neptune is not always about spirituality. You know, it's I use the old traditional charts planets first, and then I'll add in um, uh, the what do you call it?
outer planets.
Yeah, the outer planets, but I
The
call them
usual.
generational planets.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm similar that way too. Like I definitely use the coherent ancient system, because that's like my lineage and training is like Hellenistic texts. But then yeah, I'm a neo-modern. I would say I'm a neo-traditionalist, right? So it's like I'll use like Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto because I'm neo and modern, and I'm living in the modern
Right,
day. It sounds like
right,
you're similar. Like
right. Well, let's say Pluto in Leo generation. Well, um, then with the chart, like mine's in the ninth house. So it's very important to understand Pluto and Leo first and not go jumping into ninth house situation because I'm part of a group of people that have you know uh, with the old hippies
mm,
and
yeah,
we
all of
had
your
these great Leonian fantasies, but it didn't work out.
Oh, come on. You're wearing a corn shirt. Let's see your corn shirt. That's so Pluto and Leo. You're like performing. You're so cute. I should be wearing my corn shirt that you sent me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you could say here we are, we just struggling to understand so much, and then you just go listen to corn.
Ah, yeah, I think the Pluto and Leo generation. Well, first of all, I like what you're saying is that you want to look at a planet first before you place it in a house. And you want to say, what is this? And you would say Pluto and Leo is a generational influence. Me and all my friends of my generation have this same thing. And my chart puts it in the ninth house. I'm a Sag rising. And so, like, I'm, making my own spiritual beliefs. One of the marks of a Sag rising is Leo on nine, which is like loving or basically developing your own beliefs over time. So I think that's
That's
cool that
right.
you're talking about beliefs. So having Pluto there would be kind of intense. It would be like an
Right.
intense search for personal belief.
Right. Well, I'm not saying this about in general. I'm just saying is that I have learned to really understand the signs first. And Leo in the ninth house isn't really that great because it talks to me about, well, all your travels are going to be stopped, and all your beliefs, they're going to be changed. And
I love Sag risings. I love Leo on the ninth. My baby daddy has that, and he has Sun and Mars conjunct in Leo in the ninth, and he really does a lot of self improvement. Like, have you ever read the Four Agreements?
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good book.
Okay, so yeah, like I feel like Sag risings do a lot of self improvement through philosophy, and
Right,
I love Leo on the ninth personally.
right. But the thing about it, after a while, you just get to the point where you're just exhausted, and I'm okay just the way I am.
Yeah, well, it
Why?
would
Why?
be one transit at a time, right? Like when a planet goes through Leo, you might get reinvigorated to do a little philosophy, and then when it passes
No.
out, you might get tired. Like I have Leo on the third because I'm a Gemini rising. I'm the opposite rising as you. It's probably part of why we get along so well. But it's like, yeah, Leo on the third also likes to do self-help books. Like I read self-help books a lot, and I enjoy every one of them, honestly. But then the transits leave my third, and I'm like, whatevs, not
Yeah.
interested.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my you get tired of introspection and working on yourself. No, go have a beer.
Or go make a friend. Like the people who are constantly doing self work, I'm like, come on, let's move beyond the foundation of life, which is your consciousness. It's like once you got your consciousness wrangled, go have talk to your friend and make a vid. So let's talk about illusion and delusion, which is the next awesome topic you put on our list here. So
Okay.
how do you know if you're having an illusion or a delusion, or what is that all about?
It depends on your chart and the way you were raised. Okay. I was raised in a culture that I come to find out there's other options here. I don't believe, see, I was raised Christian, so I do right now, okay, I do not believe I am a sinner. There's nothing wrong with me. I might have some foibles, but this constant uh picking at the sore, the sore, and it's madness. I mean, they haven't. It's like you'll never find your place. That for me, it'll never find. I would never find my place in that.
Mm,
Never,
mm.
because I've always got somebody behind me talking to me, and just how some people get they they talk so much. Well, stop it. I gotta think. And but delusions are that's that's probably more. Don't have vocabulary. I mean, the dictionary in front of me, but that's more self-generated delusions.
Mhm,
Like you get um too big for your britches.
mhm.
You believe that you're a wizard, and you start believing yourself something that you're not, because it fills a gap, a vacuum for you, where illusion could be self-generated, but it's generated by other people. See, they're giving us an illusion that uh, we're still a democratic society, and we we're not a republic like we used to. The way it started, because. But anyway, that's political in nature, and don't need to go there.
Well, okay, so what you're making me think is okay. So, first of all, believing yourself is something. Well, okay, let's talk about delusions. You say they're not adherent to reality. So, like, I'm a schizophrenic, right? And like a delusion is when I have a vision where it's like not adherent to anyone else's reality, like they're not seeing it or whatever. So it's like I
Right.
see what you're saying. It's like it's delusional because it's like I can't share that vision with anyone else. Like it
R-
becomes like just
Right.
this. it's almost like a waste of a vision because
Right.
it's a vision that doesn't really help us, you know. But if I vision, which I do a lot of visioning for really good purposes, like, you know, I might have visioned about our video before we got on today.
Right.
It's like that visioning is going to help us make a really good video, and so it's not a delusion. It's like a vision
Yeah,
with
that
a purpose.
yeah, you're setting your intention.
Yeah, totally. So, I agree with you there that a delusion isn't really adherent to reality. Now, I want to address this thing about belief in yourself, like something you're not. Like a lot of times when people have psychotic breaks, they say things like, I am Jesus, or I am a magician, or like, I am God, or whatever. And people throw
Right.
them in the slammer for that. Well, I actually think they're having the revelation that all of us are God. You know, it's like I see God as we are extrusions of God. Like the sun was put into place by the Creator, and the sun hits our eyes and starts extruding out our chakras, and it's like I am God and you are God because the sun is hitting our eyes and we are extruding
Yeah.
God through our machine. Like, and so I am God and you are God. But like you're not allowed to say that. What you would say is, I have a piece of God inside of me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not it's like that's not going to throw me in the institution. But if I'm like, I am God, I am God, I swear I am God, then I go to the
Yeah.
institution. So I think sometimes they throw someone in the slammer when they really just don't have the quite the language to say like God is inside of me too. Like you know, so I don't know. What do you think of that?
Well, don't believe your own advertise. I,
What?
I heard that from somebody once. But what you're saying is your mind is in a rut and you got this loop going. And then everything sort of fits to sort of keep you deluded, you know. Let's just say well, it's like the uh let's see, oh, I know that word. Um, they give in tests the actual pill and then they give a
Placebo.
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 Right, right. And but delusion is trying to fill a void. It's trying to uh, give you some support. Okay, and so I will say this. I hope I'm not being scattered here, but hanging around Jupiter all the time, you can get very delusional
Wow, how so?
because he's always expanding. He's always into something. He's always, that's why Saturn is here, but he can lead you down the wrong path too.
Well, I know that people always say like you have a mania and you're like, and then you thought you could do anything, and I was like, because I could. Like when I'm in a Jupiter transit, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna do anything now. Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh
do
yeah.
something cool now.
Yeah. Well, I
I would rather
if
have a
Luna,
delusion of grandeur than a delusion of minimizing myself.
well, really, I'm just a deer, or an animal, and all I really need to do is go along with the weather and go graze in this spot, and then we'll move on. And water determines a lot of things, and if really, I'm happy because I have shelter. Okay, I have food. Okay, I have little bit of safety to a degree. It could vanish. Okay, I'm powerful enough to be able to take care of myself. Physically, and so my value is not dependent upon how much astrology I know. It's based upon um, what it makes you feel like you got it together, and
Well,
I don't think that's delusional.
well, you're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, essentially, which on the first hierarchy of needs is food, shelter, water. And if we don't have that, we don't have anything. So it's like at the
Right.
basic level, we are food, shelter, water. And then you go to friendships and things. And then the top tier is self-actualization. And so people always
Right.
think you should go to an astrologer even if you're poor and broke. I'm like, no, if you're poor and broke, you should be living on the food, shelter, water layer of the hierarchy of needs, making sure you can get your needs met. And then once you're all set, then go to an astrologer to look at your self-actualization. What are
Right.
you here to do? What does your transit want to do this year? So I actually think
Right.
you're right. Like a simple formation of the human
Right.
frame is that we are just an animal who needs
Right.
shelter, water.
But the thing is, though, is that what you get from an astrologer, a tarot reader, even a medical doctor, it's got their filters in it. And like my doctor, I question her every time. I said, why do you believe that? And I'm one of her difficult cases. But
You're
that's
probably
what
one of your favorite cases.
it goes back to that belief system.
Mm-mm.
No, I'm not saying be paranoid or I'm just a skeptic. I don't take things at face value anymore, which is how I'm healing my Neptune generation, you know.
Interesting.
And even though it shows up in my 11th house, um, it, uh, I just don't buy into anything anymore.
Hmm.
And when I do, I really go off into trouble.
Well, yeah, I do think you having that Neptune in 11, it's like you're gonna go through the delusions of your generation with them, basically, and
Right,
you guys, and then if Saturn hit that, you guys might struggle with a vision you're having, and if Jupiter hits it, you guys might really live out a vision you're having. So I think,
right,
Neptune, like any planet, is for good and for ill, depending on what transits are hitting it. Like Mars hitting it, you might go into a feverish vision of X, Y, or Z.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
So that the um if we do anything as part of the astrology community, um, is yes, I sort of argue with this, but then I say, no, that's the way to go. And that is teaching people how to do their own charts. Okay. And they might just come to you, just say, hey, this is what I found out. Is that correct? Well, I said, well, how do you feel about it? And so you're empowering people.
That's so interesting you say that. That's actually my passion is teaching people to read their own charts. People
Right,
think but I do chart readings a lot. For example, I do a lot of readings for advanced astrologers who want to know remedies for their chart, right? So
right,
that's a really useful hour with them.
right.
But I think let's say I have a client who's bipolar or something. I'm like, can I teach you how to read your own transits, please? Because
I wouldn't. I would be selective.
oh, I come on, I help and heal in all cases. That's me
Yeah,
though. I'm a
yeah,
crazy
that's
person.
me. That's me because I you understand something that I don't.
Well, I'm just saying, you see how with that inquiry, it's like I have bipolar. What does my chart say about that? I'm like, well, we can see your moods and your fluctuations and your poles in your chart. It's going to take me about a year to teach you how to read your own transits. It's like learning to watch
No.
what tell time. But
Right.
once you can do it, you can never undo it. Like you can always tell time after that year. So I
Yes, but they need to get to know themselves. Okay, like Moon Libra. That's pretty tough. And so um then I think the psychological part of astrology really helps people, you know.
oh,
But astrology was first a predictive art. Should I go to war with this guy? Well, don't go during this time because the weather's going to be bad, you know. So,
interesting. Well, and we were talking about prediction on the page yesterday, and it's like I think
yeah,
your response was that prediction. I can't remember what your response was, but yeah, it's like astrology does not have to be used predictively. Although I think a brave, good astrologer does use predictions in certain cases. Like if someone said to me, like, "Why is my husband violent?" and had permission to look at his chart, and I could see the violent aspect in the chart, I might make predictions like, Oh, he's going to be violent in the second week of June, you know.
Yeah, right,
Maybe
right,
the reason we make that prediction is to then help and heal in that case. Like maybe provide remedies of like, can you guys separate during this time? Can we try
right,
this? Can he work out? Like
right,
we don't just predict willy-nilly. We make a prediction in order to help in
right.
that case.
I don't feel confident to give people marriage advice. I, you know,
Why, you have a great marriage.
I know, but the thing about it is I know her chart, you know, and but um, in my past life, if that is real, um, well, I was dealing with people all the time. Well, this lifetime, it's I'm taking a break, and I need to pay attention to my own business.
Hmm.
That's after 10 or 15 years of studying a chart, because you think, oh, you get these grandeurs that, oh, I can take that south node and still live it. No, you need to go to that north node and live that. And sure, you'll be able to help people, but that's not your that that's for me. Mine's in the first house.
Hmm.
Okay. And so that's not for anybody else. That's just an example.
Well, you make a really good point that astrology is so interesting that one could study their own chart for 15 years and not get bored because the transits keep going on. And I mean,
Oh
there's
yeah.
very few things that you can say in life that you can study about yourself for 50. Like, I don't know how non-astrologers stay interesting to themselves. I'm like, without your transits, like, aren't you just kind of a static, boring person? Like, I don't understand. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do know that like fishermen, like shrimp and crab and they just know their environment. So astrology just tells me my environment. And that's the only thing that you can remediate. But also too is I know that the reason that I'm not super wealthy or anything is because I need to stay on the subject of North Node in the first house, you know, and all that stuff.
interesting. Yeah, I think it's so interesting that not every chart is wealthy. You know, there's this idea. Well, I've been studying a lot of manifestation theory because astrology is basically ancient manifestation theory. And like what it knows is that no two people will ever manifest the same thing. No two, because the first lesson in manifestation is to want something. And like if you like me, for me, I don't really want to be rich. I just want to be able to sleep in. Like I just love it. Can I
Right.
sleep in one day? You know? But
Uh,
but like I think you'd have to want to be rich every day. Like if you had Jupiter conjunct Mars in Aries in the second house, you might want to be rich to the level of
yeah,
making yourself rich.
right. That's why I always say your your chart is perfect. You are probably living it right now, you know. And but the thing that this is for me now is to constantly try to improve yourself gets old. Go fishing, go get drunk, you know.
We'll see corn. That's what I'll be doing in October.
I know I'm so happy for you.
You were gonna say you're jealous, but I would invite you with if you lived here.
Oh, I know. I like that uh techno music.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
Digital.
What's your favorite corn song?
Um I've been listening to the Requiem,
Requiem. Oh.
and I'm still, what are they saying, kind of a deal. But I just love the music because it's very, very stable, and then it gets chaotic.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I like them. Nirvana's like that too. They got a beat going.
Well, okay, so I just want to heartily agree with you that too much self-work makes Jack a dull boy. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like people who are constantly doing conscious work, and this might be people who have like 10 planets in the 12th house or something. It's like, oh, they just keep working on their consciousness over and over. And it's like, well, when are you going to build on that? It's like I
Right.
spent a year working on my consciousness. I got sober and I wrote in a journal and, did all this stuff, talked to God for a whole year. And, then that directed me into making a YouTube channel publicly with my friends, and it's like, I still work on my consciousness every day. Like, how am I doing? God, what's your will for my day? And I do all that work. But then I go out in the world and rage, right? And it's like I think conscious work is the beginning of a day. It's not like your whole day is supposed to be like scrubbing your consciousness to like, did I do okay? Like, I don't know, but some people are built for consciousness work and maybe that's their passion, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, uh, you can overdo it, so be balanced.
Yeah.
That's why, because there's a lot of people that don't know anything about astrology, don't know anything about religion. They don't have any real philosophy. They just go to work, and then they go to the baseball games or football games and all that. And so I get so jealous of.
Well, that's equally imbalanced. Like, to go throughout your day and never do any consciousness work and say, like, how did I do? How did I do with my kids? How did I do with my, like, after we get off the line here, I will be asking God, like, how did I do with Kim? Like, how did I
Yeah,
do? Like, what is your will for me, God, now? Because it's like every time I do any work, especially publicly, I'm really asking myself, was that for the greatest good? And like, what could I have? I don't know, but it's like your chart. Some people are into their chart all day, and it's like I'm into my chart all day, but it's like I track the transits in the morning. It's like, what's the moon hitting in my chart today? What am I
right,
manifesting today? And then I move on with that manifestation. I don't,
right,
some people arrive at astrology and they just kind of perseverate on astrology
right,
24
right.
hours a day. And like, it would be like looking at the time and just looking at the time and then looking at the time some more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah, yeah. But what you're doing is what a day trader does. He's looking at all the graphs, all the data, why and what's going on. And I know somebody in crypto. The other day we were talking, and we're pretty good friends. And uh, he said, and it's a she, and she works with her aunt, who is a investment broker and stuff like that, and works with all kinds of different big clients. And they made $30,000 in a day. I mean, these are big guys. I mean, I don't. I wouldn't know what to do with 30,000.
I'd sleep in.
Huh?
I would sleep in.
I'd
I'd,
go buy, but see, I would go buy real estate. You
that's,
know, yeah,
your son's in the fourth, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, so that makes some sense.
Right. I use the equal house instead of the whole.
Oh, interesting. My son's in the sixth, so I would go to work. I would sleep in and then go to work. Like everyone's like, "What do you do on your birthday?" I'm like, "I work because the sun's in the sixth." Like I just go to work. So
But that, what was that next question? You said we talked. Did delusional sound about right? Or
yeah, yeah, yeah. The next question is, you wrote down a timeline for evolutionary astrology. So what's that all about?
timeline for evolutionary astrology?
You're kind of an evolutionary astrologer, or you definitely trip on EA, don't you? You like the
Well, I use it. That's how I first started. So I am prone to refer back to it. And the 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 greatest thing I learned in EA is that your aspects are in a phase. Like I have a Neptune conjunct a waning moon, really. And so, but it's in a balsamic kind of position. So what it means to me is that I'm learning to finalize this and get it over with.
hmm.
And there's some computer links I use one that I always give her some money because she just asks for a donation, but they'll actually compute it for you, or the computer will compute it for you, and then you can send it to yourself and have something else to look at. Like a square is 90 degrees, but isn't it something else?
Hmm. Is that vibrational astrology?
Nope. Mm,
No, no.
mm, mm.
Vibrational astrology drives me nuts, oh man. Anything
Right,
that recalculates a natal, because I'm such a teleological astrologer where you're growing the natal chart and you're trying to grow it really strongly. So it's like
right,
a manifestation. So I'm like, when people
right,
relocate or they give a new ascendant or they do a solar return with a new
right,
ascendant, I'm just like, oh, you're driving me nuts. Like that does.
right. Well, that's why you still need a physical ephemeris. You need a physical one. Okay, that's right. Because this computerized ephemeris, it's so I like to hug things.
I'll hug my ephemeris. Oh my God, I love my ephemeris. Look how much it's been used. Like seriously, it's so yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, did you know that on my birthday, Uranus is in retrograde, but April 1st, it goes direct.
Hmm. Interesting.
So here I am, March 11th, and then it goes direct in April
Hmm.
that same year, that same time. And you think, what the hell is all that about? And so it's just a way to entertain yourself. I've lived out in the woods for 3 years and had a great campfire and a coffee, and oh, it was wonderful, and had the right mosquito spray.
Uh-uh.
And,
Yeah, I mean,
but just
astrology
enjoy
is
yourself. If you can't enjoy yourself in your astrology, give it up, take a break, go on vacation. You
yeah,
know.
like I like when they say astrology is for entertainment purposes, and I'm like, I actually agree, it's super entertaining. To be like, what is my transit? What am I up to? What am I doing?
Yeah,
But
right, right,
it like
right,
makes you
right.
more entertaining, which
Yeah, 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 yeah. This is for your entertainment, so don't sue me.
yeah. Yeah, but it's not only entertainment. It can be used for so many other things. Like when I use astrology to really help someone with a medical problem, that's not, I mean, it's entertaining, but it's not
Yeah,
just for entertainment purposes.
sure, sure. Well, anyway, the question was about EA. What was that again?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think AR is the new EA. Do you know what AR is?
Yeah, uh, the remediation thing.
Yeah, isn't it cool to make it an acronym AR? It'd be like
Yeah,
if you
I
looked at your
guess.
chart from an AR perspective, you would
Yeah,
notice that Uranus going retrograde is going to be
it's
awesome.
just another recipe. Don't get deluded and thinking.
No, but from a manifestor's idea, like I'm like, if we can turn astrological remediation into AR, then we can use a lot more of it because we don't have to spend so
Right.
much time saying the word. Like,
Yeah,
and it's like if evolutionary astrology can be EA, then AR we can EA and AR can coexist. Like EA and
yeah.
AR can be best friends. But what?
Well, you could put EAR.
Ooh, evolutionary astrological remediation.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you're listening.
EAR, EAR.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
But I really honored. I come from the Jeffrey Wolf Green lineage.
Oh my God, I love him.
Yeah, the guy that wrote the Pluto book. But let me ask you this: you had the question, what is the timeline of EA?
Well, you asked, you said in your email timeline of EA.
Oh Lord,
You started it.
I know. Well, I will say this is that uh I don't know if you know this, and it doesn't matter if everybody else knows it. I don't care. But I can see in my chart if I go back. Uh, See, I went on disability because of my depression, and Oh, I really went through it.
Mm,
I crashed and burned. I had a cathartic experience.
mm,
And there's still things that I suffer from, but that's because of the environment I was raised or went through. Because there was I used to run cross country, and we were at a state event in Louisiana. And usually the leader is a rabbit. He tries to get everybody to exhaust themselves. And anyway, there was a tree with a sign on it, and they had it in a position where you didn't know which way to go, but to me, it was going straight ahead. Okay. But everybody all went off to the right. Well, I'll come to find out that that sign was correct. It was going straight ahead. Okay. And I just raised my hand and says, I won. They went the wrong way.
mm.
And they wouldn't listen to me. So anyway, I won that race just by going the right way.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
No
Well,
wonder I went crazy.
well, I don't think you'll be depressed anymore because you know me, and if you were
Yeah.
depressed, I would deal with your existential boredom with some astrology. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, I think that's why I'm gonna win with Astros because I'm going the right way, which is AR.
Yeah.
It's like if
Yeah.
you don't have remedies for your chart, like what are you even doing? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like why are you
Well,
even looking? But no, I don't know.
most of remediation is just to understand it. Once you understand it, then you say, oh, the clouds have lifted.
Well, that's okay. Literally, there's nothing more awesome than working with astrologers who are stuck in a bad aspect in their chart. Like, you know, I deal with astrologers who've been stuck for like 10 years on a T square that they have, and they're always like, and with my T square out of the seventh house, I'll never have a good marriage, and with my T square like on the in my second house, I'll never have a good financial situation. And I'm like, all right, let's actually get you out of that stuck place because
Yeah.
like, it's actually affecting their lives. Like,
Right.
you know, when I
Right.
always think about it, it's like almost like giving a bad tattoo, like a do-over tattoo, where you're like, let's put a good tattoo over that bad tattoo because like it's
Right.
ruining your life.
Right. Well,
But
back to your question, EA timeline. Okay. Uh, basically, it just gives you a structure. Okay. And then there's another thing. There's a sheet in the EA encyclopedia, which you can get on Amazon. And it will ask you some questions, because if the astrologer doesn't know your exact time, so he can put the Pluto in a certain house, then he'll ask you certain questions. Based upon that response, he would work, you know, towards that and see if that applies. So there are some really good how you want to say it,
well, maybe
insights
good
into that.
a good question for us is what do we love about EA? I like that question. Like what is
Okay.
good about it? Like I love
Oh,
their analysis of the soul's development.
right. Well, it's Jeffrey Wolf Green's filter, but it gives you some kind of structure. It's
Yeah.
just like when you do a scientific experiment, you know, if it works, great, keep it. If it don't work, try something else. But it's I've got a book coming um about the philosophy of astrology. It's a structural uh, system, and it's a way to organize the mind if you want. It's like writing down your goals, things like that. And
Well, like EA is pretty close to teleology actually, because like EA says that are on a path of soul development and that we can go towards our kind of current karma or our soul's
Yeah.
job, or we have a life purpose, or that, that's the whole thing with the North Node is like you have a purpose that
Right.
you're going into. And I think
Right.
people really like it. The thing about teleology was is that the whole chart was seen as a life purpose, and you're supposed to grow into the whole chart. So like every Jupiter transit that you go through, you're really supposed to grow into that piece of your chart. Like Jupiter
Right.
your seventh, and like it's cool that we're doing these videos because it's like you might grow a bunch of friends through that transit, and that's actually perfect from teleology perspective. It's like you are growing
Right.
friendships while Jupiter goes through seven, or partnership,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
The point
But
is like what I like about teleology is that it gives you constant development towards your soul's purpose, not just on the North Node. So
okay.
I guess, sorry, I went into what I like better about
No, no, that's all right. But remember this is that where do we get that concept that we are developing? I mean, who's telling me this? Is this just another spirit I don't know that, I mean,
Well,
I think that
Waldorf education would give us that concept, or like, astrology goes really well with like certain kind of educational frameworks that look at the developmental. I think teaching theory, teachers look at development.
right, but all your basic philosophies or religions is you're trying to obtain peace of mind. Okay. And as long as I got food, shelter, water, and have a little cash on me, I'm fine. You know, it's this overindulgence in self introspection that just I, I just want to bring it out to everybody. You know,
Well, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it is actually the top need. We have food, shelter, water, so that we can then have friends, so that we can then actualize the self. And I think people who are
right?
living in that top tier of the triangle are my favorite people. I mean,
Yeah,
have you
but
ever had a friend who's stuck on food, shelter, water? I have a few friends like that, and I'm like, can we get out of food, shelter, water into
but
what you're
no, no, no. That for an EA astrologer, you don't want to get them out of it. Who are you to tell them how to evolve? See, because like in EA, if you go get the encyclopedia, okay, there's consensus people, then there's independent people, and then there's spiritual people. Okay, now you really need to read it so you don't get confused. But there's a lot of people, probably 90, I'm making this up, 95% that are in consensus. And how do they get into liking astrology? There's more questions to ask myself. So if they're in consensus, which the chart will not tell you, you have to interview them. And so you don't give them more information than they're ready for. They might want to know, is this a good man to marry? Okay, well, help them there. Don't try to, your life purpose is
Well, I agree with you. You should stick to the inquiry at least first. I mean, what my new idea with readings is stick to the inquiry, and then if you run out of stuff, I have this magical cup of questions that we can pull a question that's just a magical rando choice of what we would talk about if we run out. I haven't yet to run out of an inquiry yet, but I just always have this fear that I'm going to run out of inquiry. But like, I agree. You should stick to the inquiry at hand, and like for the most part.
right. And don't judge them nor doubt them. You know,
Oh no,
you're
never.
not trying to make them into your uh evolution. That's not your business.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think that's one of the cool things about EA is it really respects the client as a
Right.
soul who is
Right.
developing and it's on its own path. It's like I like the respect that EA gives to clients, you know?
Right. Well, like in the old astrology, the people went to, like they were kings and guys in high places, and they had some money, and um, Anyway, they might be in consensus. See, they might have a consensus mind. Okay, but you're answering that question, right? He might be in consensus. So, um, don't go beyond that.
Mm,
Not unless he asks.
yeah. Yeah, I try to not do much that the client doesn't ask for. But yeah. So EA, what else is good about it? It really I like that it incorporates past lives. That's kind of cool.
Right. Well, everybody in EA astrology right now should send us some money because we're advertising
Are
for it.
we?
Well, that's really what we're doing. Mhm.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I was just thinking here, what we're
Well,
doing is
why can't
building
you
our
get a
friendship.
Patreon? Get you a Patreon, and we didn't ever say at the beginning, please subscribe and like, and it helps the algorithms, and we didn't say that.
Yeah, please like and subscribe to this channel to see more of Kim Strickland and my friendship. It's growing. We have good synergy. Your moon is on my sun in Libra. We are going to grow a friendship over the
Yeah,
years as we make
yeah.
these episodes.
You more than likely help me
Well, you
see
help me
clearly.
for sure. I help you what?
Well, you might help me see better with my moon in Libra.
Well, you definitely help me. I think our friendship really helps me to, I don't know, I just think about how much I just love talking to you. I just
Oh,
love,
well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
well, I do
But
have,
where's your Gemini?
it's Gemini rising.
Oh,
We have opposite risings, which
so you
I
have a lot to talk about.
always, always.
Yeah, so you're never gonna lose your inquiries.
No, no.
You'll always
You can,
come up with something.
with your moon in the 11th, you can marry our friendship because we're opposite risers, and you know that I will never run out of things to talk about. In fact, for our next episode, we have three more things on your list. And look at how long my list of questions for you was, and we didn't get to any of them.
Really?
So we're gonna
Well,
have to make like 10 more episodes. Are you okay with that?
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and please support Andy's work and come to Thursday night and get a hold of Andy. Send her some money.
I don't need your money.
Yeah,
But
you do. Yeah, you do.
well, if so I can be an old philanthropist maybe.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, you need another corn shirt.
that's true. I need 10 more coin trades. But Kim, thank you so much for today. This was such a pleasant and awesome discussion, and I cannot wait for next time. When we hang up, I'm going to email you and schedule our next time.
Oh, okay, that'd be great. Great, Rud. I just enjoy listening to people that ask questions. Gemini and Descendant.
Yeah, we have opposite rising. Yeah, if anyone wants to make a vid with me and Kim, you should let us know because you can talk to us. That would
Yeah.
be fun.
Right. Really appreciate everybody that looked at this.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe.
Yeah, you're good at this, Kim. All right, talk to you later, everyone.
Okay. All right.